hope everybody's having a good time. I know I am. I'm learning a lot, so that's always a good thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about getting your community involved, because the success of a paddle trail is only as big as how many people you can get to go down it, and how much the community will buy into it, and how much money you can get from everybody working together and these synergies happening. And the big thing is getting people on there. There's a couple people here, and it's hard to see the pictures, but there's a couple people here working in a strainer, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Why is community support important? We've already hit that a lot today, but I'm going to just go over a few things. Obviously, ownership of the trail. Everybody has to have a buy-in. Everybody should care about what happens with it. It's good for public relations. Obviously, you want to have people coming to your city and seeing a beautiful natural resource that they can enjoy and have a good time, whether they're fishing or just standing on the side of the river having a picnic or they're paddling. More involvement from various groups. The nicer your trail is and the more community involvement you have, the more people are willing to buy into it and help you. Money. You're not going to have any money involved to do things like upgrade your launches or to put in new facilities and parks and things like that if you don't have the community to buy into it. More opportunity for fun and events, which is one thing I always like. And obviously all these assets have to be maintained, so you need a large group of people to help you do that. Activities that bring community support. We're going to talk about Rivers Alive cleanups. That's a huge one, and it's not something that should be overlooked. It's a real easy way to get people involved in your paddle trail. Group paddles. Love group paddles. Do almost every weekend. River races, family events. The more various of ages that you can get involved in the river or the river trail is great, and special celebrations. And there's a lot of things that we can celebrate out there on our paddle trails. First off, Rivers Alive. Love Rivers Alive. Rivers Alive is actually how I pretty much got involved in the river altogether. I mean, I really didn't do a lot of stuff on the river. I live on Lake Lanier. I did a lot of lake cleanups and things like that. And then I did the first Paddle Georgia, and then I was hooked. But then we started doing paddle cleanups, and that was something that really wasn't done a lot back then. I mean, people would walk on the side of the river and try to pick up trash, but there wasn't a lot of people going out in boats and trying to pick up the trash out there. So that was something that we kind of got going, and now everybody's doing it, and it's a great thing to do, and it's really brings a lot of excitement and various people to your paddle trail. It's not hard, it's fun. This is such a bizarre thing, because you think people going out to pick up trash are going to be like, what are you doing to me? Oh, I can't wait to get off. How many more hours are we going to be on here? There's a big spider in my boat. You know, you think you're going to have a lot of that going on. But in actuality, people have a blast doing this. And it's a great thing, especially for people that are new paddlers or people who have never even been on the river before. We have a lot of companies come to us and say, will you take our employees on a paddle cleanup? Oh, all right, yeah, well, we're going to have to find a really nice, flat, dirty area for your people, since most of them have never even been on the river before. It's a little scary when you get a bunch of people in a group and the first thing you say is, everybody can swim, right? No. Oh, good. Jim here with him. You know, that kind of thing. But if you find a good spot to do it, it's really fun. You go really slow. People learn how to maneuver their boats and go in and out and get trash. And they have to use balance and all kinds of things in order to do that. So it really gives them a good paddling basis. And they get to know what it's like to paddle. They get to see the river. And people that get in the river and see what you're doing and actually see what you're up against and the things that you got to work on and the erosion, and they see the trash, they get it. Our biggest advocates at the Riverkeeper are paddlers because they get it. So it's really important. The more people you can get in your paddle trail and in your river, the better. It's really easy to get started. The Adopt-A-Stream people, a lot of them are already doing Rivers Alive cleanups. Great person to start talking to or to get involved in your cleanup if you're not already a Adopt-A-Stream person yourself. We have organizer guides, and I'll be happy to send everybody the link to these. We have one that's a regular organizer guide just for Rivers Alive in general. We also have a paddle cleanup organizer guide that we just made that we put on the website. And we just did a couple cleanups with Georgia River Network, and they turned out really well trying to teach people how to get out there and do a paddle cleanup. Attend other events. That's probably the easiest way to learn how to do this is go see somebody else do it and then put it into practice. Mentor programs, we have a mentor program at Rivers Alive. If you want to talk to somebody about it and say, I'm not exactly sure what to do and how do I handle this and you know, what do you do with the trash afterwards and what do you do with the trash when you're on the river? Kind of questions like that. If you don't get it in the guide, call me. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Harold has a whole list of people that are mentors for Rivers Alive. And it builds a really strong river commitment out there. We also have some annual reports. In case you want to see a little bit more about Rivers Alive and look at our website, there's annual reports back there that you can get some information from. Getting started, obviously the website's the best place to start. We also want you to actually list your cleanup on the site and give us feedback and totals at the end. So it's really important to go to the riversalive.org site. We have a great interactive website. Adopt a Stream, those people obviously are in tune with it. They're our sister organization. We're doing a lot more Adopt a Stream kind of things right now where we're doing river assessments. Harold did put that poster out there. So when we're out there doing a Rivers Alive cleanup, we're going to be assessing the river too. So we're trying to get people doing various things while they're out there. Keep Georgia Beautiful is our financial partner. They're also our partner as far as getting people organized and on the river and doing these stream cleanups along the side and river cleanups, lake cleanups. Georgia River Network's another great place to go. They have a lot of links to this and they're trying their best to try to get people out on the river and doing Rivers Alive cleanups. Local Riverkeeper, water groups obviously, and science teachers in schools. This is a great kid program too. Who should join in the fun? Obviously, there's a lot of nonprofits out there that would love to partner with you. Partners are always good. I think you've heard that a lot today. Local businesses. You know, how can you say no to somebody wanting help to go clean something up? And you know, cleaning something up is one of the few things that you can do as an individual and make a difference in a very short amount of time. You can take a real trashed out area, clean it up, and suddenly it's beautiful again. So it's instant gratification, and it's not something where people are going to say, oh, well, that doesn't sound like a good cause. It's too controversial. It's not controversial at all. Most people will be willing to help you. Local schools, politicians are great for help, especially this time of year. For this year, politicians will come to anything. It's really amazing. Give them a bag and a stick and make them pick up some trash, especially their flyers and stuff. Outfitters, actually a lot of outfitters out there have a great stake in the river. Most of them will give you free boats or shuttles or something to try to help your cleanup along. So outfitters is another way to establish that connection to the river with your people. Anyone who profits or uses the river, water departments. A lot of water departments out there to have the Rivers Alive cleanups. Georgia Power, they use the river. Obviously, they have a big stake in it. They do a lot of Rivers Alive cleanups. There's all kinds of people that you can partner with and get this going. Do you know what we find? You know what we find the most of on the Chattahoochee River? The number one thing we find as far as trash? Balls. Thousands and thousands and thousands of balls. You would think it would be cans or bottles or flip-flops or something. It's actually balls. And it so amazes me. But it's a great connection. Every time I take somebody on the river and we start picking up, we go to a strainer and there's 6,000 balls in there we're pulling out. They're like, where do all these balls come from? And so like people with thousands of labs are throwing tennis balls to or what? And you explain to them, look, anything that's in the road, anything that goes near a storm sewer is going to end up in the river. And it gives them that connection. Suddenly the light bulb goes off and they're like, wow, you're not kidding. And it really gets them to understand why there's a problem in the river. Because everything that's in the road is going to end up in that river. Make a party out of it. I'm all about partying. You know, there's some people that you can also get to help you with cleanups and river events. Is like your local brewery. I mean, Sweetwater is one of our biggest Chattahoochee Riverkeeper supporter. They obviously have a huge stake in the river. So there's very few events that we have that beer is not involved, okay? And people know that. They're like, yeah, hey, I'll just pick up some trash and then I can drink. So, you know, breweries, people like that are really great people to get involved with that. as many activities as possible so everybody can join in, even little kids, even older people. There's a lot of Project Wet games that you can do. If you just go online, there's a heck of a lot of resources. Awards, even silly ones. I like to do the flat bottles. I actually collect bottles from the river and I have a kiln and I melt them and we give little silly awards away. But people like to get something, even if it's just a little tiny thing. It means something to them, especially kids. Kids love that. Take a lot of pictures. Nothing like visuals. Put them in the news. Get the news people involved. You know, that's great PR for what you're doing and what you're trying to establish at your paddle trail. Have some refreshments, even if it's just some water and a couple cookies or something. It's great to thank people for what they're doing. And that's the neat thing about Rivers Alive, is this time of year, it's Rivers Alive month, you can actually request t-shirts. And the whole point of Rivers Alive is to get more and more people involved. And the way we do that is by giving away our t-shirts. And of course, mine's sitting out in the car. I meant to bring it in. But if you'd like to see it, I'll bring one in so that you can see what our t-shirts look like this year. Every year we have a theme. This year it is getting the younger generation involved. And the t-shirts are pretty cool and they're very collectible. Everybody likes them. 2 to 4 hours max. Don't make this the baton death march, okay? I've made that mistake before. You know, you can't make people clean up for like 6 hours. It ain't going to happen and they're going to not be happy. And stretches of the river. You know, some rivers, it's going to be tougher than other ones. You know, 5 miles is about the max. Now, if you have like a 9-mile stretch, because that's the only place you can get in and out of, maybe you're going to clean the top half one time and then just paddle down, or vice versa. We've done that quite a few times on longer stretches on the Chattahoochee. And try to avoid football games. Nothing will kill an event faster than a Georgia or Georgia Tech football game. It's all over. It's like, unless you have a television there, they ain't coming. The Mulvey River Blueway. Here's a great example of how Rivers Alive changed a community. In 2004, Chuck Sutherland, a newspaper guy, decided he wanted to do a cleanup. Got involved, did a simple river cleanup. He had one location, one little river area that nobody used. It was overgrown. It was kind of desolate in the middle of nowhere, so to speak, as far as the town goes. As of 2009, they have hundreds of participants. It's become a major family park on the river. They got federal funds to revamp the boat ramps, improve the park, and create a boardwalk. It's now the center of activity in that town. And in 2012, they now have the Mulvey River Blueway Trail. And it all started with the Rivers Alive cleanup. I mean, a lot of stuff happened in between, obviously, but that's how it ended. They have a Blueway celebration that they put on. They just did. They work with Georgia Canoe Association and have a big kayak celebration there. They have a couple cleanups that are huge, 200 to 250 people at each one of them. So that's a great example of what you can do with the Rivers Alive cleanup. These are all the people that are involved in the cleanup. You can't really read it, but just suffice it to say, there's a lot of partners involved. And of course, the obvious reason we do all this is because of water quality and making sure that the river is clean. People don't want to paddle in trash. I know that. I don't want to paddle in trash. I don't even want to see trash when I'm out there. Now that I've done so many cleanups, I see it all over the place. It's like, don't look at the severed heads. Don't look at the severed heads. Keep paddling. We're not doing a cleanup. Keep paddling. But obviously the water quality is important. And trash, you may say to yourself, how's it really affecting water quality? You know, it starts with trash and it ends with somebody, dumping acid in there. So get rid of the trash, keep it beautiful, and people will treat it a lot better. What's special? These are other ways that you can celebrate your river without doing a cleanup. There are other things that you can do. What's special about your river? Historic, battles, Indian, folklore, commercial uses, mills, whatever. Exploit those. Exploit those things. People love to hear about Civil War battles and stuff. Probably the most popular set of river trips that we do, the Chattahoochee Riverkeeper, is called the River Discovery Series. It's 5 paddles that goes the length of the Chattahoochee River National Recreational Area. Oh, I got 1 minute left. Okay. We take people down there and they really, really enjoy learning about Civil War battles and the trees and the fish. We take a guy from the National Park Service, Jerry Hightower. I don't know if you know him, but he's really good at this. Celebrate history. Joe Cook's great for exploiting history. He's doing a couple paddles right now that on the Oostanala and on the Etowah, where they're going to stop at the Civil War Mansion and have a party there. Here's some other different parties that go on. We have a river race that we do. There's Bend and Dinker, which is a paddle, which is a bunch of crafts and things like that. And you look around. There's a whole bunch of them. The Ogeechee Riverkeeper is doing one with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, which is a neat thing. There's champions. If you got people that are special, that have done something on the river, it's a great way to get people out to come for a book signing or something to find out about your paddle trail. And Paddle Georgia, of course, the granddaddy of them all. I mean, that's how a lot of us, including me, really got excited and really got interested in the river, was with participating in Paddle Georgia. And it basically takes everything that I just talked about and has it all in 1 week, which is very cool. If you haven't done Paddle Georgia, I highly suggest you do it. It's a very neat thing. Thank you.